Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the FPL Addicts and Esports Live Fantasy Weekly Videocast and Podcast. In today's podcast, we'll be looking back on Game Week 17, even though as we're recording this, there are a couple of fixtures still left to be played out, and we'll be previewing Game Week 18. But before we start, we've got Peely's puzzle. Last week, I only gave 2 clues out in haste, but the answer to that one was Christian Benteke. And now to start this one, we've got 2 more clues. I currently play club football in my home country, and I played for my country in the 2002, 2006, and 2010 World Cups. So 2 more clues will be given later on in the podcast as to who that is. But welcome back. Today on the podcast, we'll be discussing Arsenal finally hitting form as they snare back-to-back wins. Leeds in the goals as Big Sam cops an absolute battering, while big clubs drop points as the chasing pack look to catch up. But on my left today is my right-hand man. Once again, we're in the same room. It is Elliot Craig from Esports Live. How are you, mate?
I'm doing really well, thank you, man. I'm excited to obviously, my team hasn't played yet, so we can't really dissect how abysmal that performance is going to be in the morning, which probably is going to make this podcast a bit more cheery. But yeah, I can't wait to get into it, mate.
I mean, we can, of course, but we can look over the results that have happened. So to start Game Week 16, Crystal Palace hosted Leicester. Harvey Barnes, in true fashion, scored an equaliser, which we were all buzzing about. Chelsea were held by Aston Villa. Olivier Giroud was in the goals, and Anwar El Ghazi, one of the most transferred-in players, who managed to fire as well. Former Nottingham Forest player Matty Cash got an assist as well. So once again, proving how good Championship players can be in the Premier League. Manchester City Everton was postponed. What a bombshell! Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Kevin De Bruyne are popular FPL assets that didn't get out on the park this week. On to today, though, this morning, as we were recording this, Alexandre Lacazette got the vital goal at the Amex as Neil Maupay couldn't get inside the Arsenal players' heads rent-free. Lacazette with the winner, Saka with the assist, as Arsenal went back to North London with all 3 points in the bag. Burnley and Sheffield United played out in the Nathan Peel derby. Ben Mee with the only goal in that game, assist from Robbie Brady, as the Clarets took all 3 points away from that game. Boring 0-0 draw between Southampton and West Ham, but the best shot of the day was Koufal against Che Adams. Absolutely clattered him there. If he could hit a football that hard, he may well have scored for West Ham this morning, but not to be. Goalless draw and some more bonus points for McCarthy, which we all love to see. Leeds absolutely battered West Brom, and the new manager bounce just doesn't happen for Sam Allardyce. 5-0. Alioski, Harrison, Rodrigo, Rafinha, and one of the strangest own goals you'll ever see from Romain Sawyers propelled the Yorkshire side to a 5-0 win away in the Midlands. And Manchester United beat Wolves 1-0. At the 11th hour, Marcus Rashford with the winner. An assist from old reliable Bruno Fernandes saw the Red Devils win that one. And as we're recording this, we've got 2 games still left to be played. Obviously, we should think that Spurs should win there against Fulham, and Liverpool will win about 5-0 away at St James's Park. So that's about what we can preview. The other fixtures that we've got to look at are the ones from the next game week, which we are obviously saying these are all pending. These could be postponed, especially that Spurs-Fulham one. That may not have been played yet, but who knows? We'll go on the provision that they are. And it's the first game week for 2021. Hopefully it's a better FPL year and year in general, really. For all of you out there, Everton kicking off against West Ham. Manchester United host Aston Villa. Tottenham will play host to Leeds in London. We've got Crystal Palace hosting Sheffield United. Brighton playing Wolves. West Brom playing home to Arsenal. Burnley hosting Fulham. Newcastle playing host to Leicester at St James's Park. Chelsea and Man City in the clash of the Titans. And to round it off, Liverpool's B team against Liverpool. It's Southampton against Liverpool at St Mary's. So there you go. There are the results and fixtures. Now, Elliot, over to you. We've got your 3 shocks of the week. Far away, mate.
Thank you, mate. Obviously, because the competition hasn't ended for the week, the game week hasn't ended. We don't know what the average is going to be or what the highest score is going to be, but nonetheless, game week so far has brought quite a few shocking FPL results. So firstly, we have a Burnley defender who goes by the name of Ben Mee. The Clarets defender managed a clean sheet and a goal in their 1-0 win over the Blades, which gave him 15 points in game week 16.
Mental. Secondly,
we have Stuart Dallas, who, what were you saying before, 11 returns so far in FPL? Absolutely ridiculous.
Something like that. Did well for me again. What an inspired signing. I've brought him in. I've got inside his head. I told him to do a return, and he's done so. So absolutely buzzing with that.
He got 12 points this week, which came from an assist, 3 bonus points, and a clean sheet, which is absolutely ridiculous from him. And finally, we have a Man United goalkeeper getting FPL points in 2020. What is going on? David De Gea managed 10 points from a clean sheet, 5 saves and 3 bonus points. And what a game he had this morning. helping the Red Devils to a 1-0 win over the mighty Wolves. But thank you, Ollie. They're my top 3 FPL shots of the week.
Too easy, all good, and definitely a great game from David De Gea this morning. I mean, I didn't watch it, but by all reports, he played well. Obviously, Stuart Dallas was buzzing with that double-digit haul. You don't mind those at all. So we will now introduce the guests for this week, and we've got a bit of a special guest this week. Obviously, Matt's been doing really poor. He's out of form, so he's been given his P45 for the next little while, or for this game week, we think at least. Now he's still in Perth. But I mean, we've got someone else on the podcast finally. It's Statman Dave from Esports Live, obviously a star in the draft section, but he's got his chance on the Classic podcast. Dave, how are you, mate?
Doing well, guys. Got the promotion this week, thanks to Maddie being on holidays. But yeah, good to be here.
Definitely. So you've been trying in the under-23s and the reserves, and you got your chance at first team level. So you must be buzzing. Hard work pays off. Have you got a few stats for us that you can reel off?
Yeah, I've been looking in at the players that have been transferred in and out this week, and there's a couple of surprises in there. The most transferred in player this week was Fernandez. I thought, that most people would have probably already had him in, that were going to have him in, but obviously he's had a couple of good weeks. So obviously everyone's jumping back on board with that. And then El Ghazi is the second one, and he's only just behind with 53,000. So that was a bit, that was to be expected, I suppose, with his recent form. And Bednarak from Southampton as well. But actually the really interesting ones is the ones that have been transferred out. So Jack Grealish is actually the second most transferred out player this week with 74,000, just behind Vestergaard, which with Vestergaard being out for a month, I think that's no surprise there.
Great stuff. That's why they call you Statman Dave. You get that name for a reason, and he has delivered. The more boring guest we'll say this week, or the more usual guest we'll say, is probably fair. I don't want to get sacked, please, but Jack Gillebrand from Esports Live. How you doing, mate?
Very well, Ollie. Like I said, keep warning you every week. Just be careful with those introductions.
Yeah, pick the wrong word there, mate. Pick the wrong word, but it's true. I mean, got to give Statman Dave the credit he deserves. He's popped on for a week, and who knows? But Man United again, another win for your lot this morning, and you must be buzzing again.
Yeah, it must be getting boring for you, that as well. Talking about Manchester United winning each week. So obviously we're in second place now. I think Liverpool will extend the lead this when we go into the morning. Hopefully Spurs get a loss. But yeah, United are doing well, and obviously great to have Statman Dave filling in for the Guru. And obviously with those stats, I think the Guru might be in trouble as well.
I mean, Statman Dave, he's probably on his tail, Statman Dave, the way Matt's been performing. But yeah, definitely he needs to watch out, or else he's in a bit of trouble. In terms of the mini league review, though, it's a bit of an interesting one because, as we say, the game week, as we record this, hasn't finished. The nature of the game weeks, falling one after the other, it's hard to record them at times when the game week's finished. But in terms of what we've got so far, we'll just go through our teams just quickly. I'll start with myself, and it's been a bit up and down so far this week. Obviously, I've had some brilliant players and some players who just didn't fire or even didn't play. I've had 3 players who haven't played. So Calvert-Lewin, obviously, his game got postponed. De Bruyne, same thing. And Ben White just didn't even start. I do have Keenan Davis from Aston Villa on my bench, though, so that's a guaranteed 1 point. I don't think Leighton's going to play. So
comes on and scores a hat-trick.
Oh, imagine. That would be amazing. But at least 1 point's going to be added on there. But the players that have played, Stuart Dallas, we've already talked about, 12 points, absolutely insane. Rob Holding was a player I transferred in. I don't think we even got to mention that last week. A few people chastised me for that, saying, "Oh, Ollie, you're mental." A friend of mine, a Middlesbrough fan, Rory, went absolutely crazy at me. He's like, "What are you doing, mate? You are absolutely mental for transferring in Rob Holding." So to Rory, I say, have that one, mate. 9 points. He's done amazing. McCarthy again on 9 points. So the players that have played have done really well. But it's annoying that 3 haven't. So I think Salah may well score tomorrow. Harry Kane, if the game goes ahead, I think he'll score as well. So should be on a decent score after a pretty turbulent week. So 38 points so far, just outside the top million in game week rank. So that's not too bad at all. Elliot, your screen's obviously next to me, and you're absolutely flying as well. We'll move on to you next. 43 points short on your, top 400,000 in the game week. So, it's pretty close to FPL this season.
Yeah, not doing too bad, mate, to be honest. McCarthy and Walker-Peters, story of the season, to be honest. When Southampton keep a clean sheet, you know you're on for a big score. I know you've had them in for quite a while as well. So, you know, when you see McCarthy getting a clean sheet and bonus points, you just know it's going to be good. And got Dallas in, I think, 2 weeks ago now. I just missed the Newcastle game where he did score against us, which I know you got him in, but I've still got a lot of use out of him. Don't know how much longer he will be in the side for. They'll do run off with it. Then we obviously had Bruno Fernandes, who did the business this morning late on with the Red Devils, which was good. Patrick Bamford with the 2 assists, which was nice. Then I've still got my captain Son to play, who I've decided to go with Son over Salah this week, and I hope it pays off. You'll have to find out next week. I'm just praying that the game doesn't get called off, because I could use the FPL points in both him and Kane if they were to score. And then Oriol Romeu, who's just filling in for me at the minute because I'm broke and I can't afford anybody. Got me 3 points, and then we've also got Salah as well. So I haven't really been affected by the postponed games so far. I say touch wood that the Spurs game doesn't get called off tomorrow morning. Only had De Bruyne that hasn't played. So yeah, 43 points, not too bad considering the circumstances. I don't think, mate. I'm very happy with that. We'll take that and move on to next week.
So it definitely has been a bit of an FPL minefield, obviously, with the postponements. As we record this right now, the Spurs and Fulham game is still scheduled to go ahead. Obviously, this will be posted after that game, so you'll obviously all know if it's been played or not. We don't, but hopefully that game, for FPL purposes at least, goes ahead. Jack, across to you now for your team. You know, it's not been too bad for you in recent form. A bit of an injury cloud there, though, for your pick team or for the next game week. But in terms of points, how are you looking?
Yeah, looking good in there. Let's just have a look on here on points. So yeah, 47 points so far in the game week. Still 3 players to play with Salah, Son, and Kane. Hopefully, all them games obviously go ahead, and Salah destroys Elliott's Newcastle, and hopefully, Son and Kane start hitting again after a couple of weeks where they haven't really hit. But great news this morning with obviously Fernandes and Rashford. Rashford hitting in the back of the net on the 93rd minute it was. So went a bit crazy around that when that ball hit the back of the net, and with Fernandes assisting. Great news. I brought in Taylor this week as I'm trying to get my Chelsea assets out. So Zuma was out the door. Taylor came in, but I think he only lasted 10 minutes on the pitch for Burnley. So he didn't get the, obviously Ben Mee did great, but Taylor didn't manage to do the full 90. I think he only lasted, the 10. And then, another Leeds player on the bench hitting. So I was kind of a bit annoyed I didn't make that change earlier. But all in all, a couple of assets to play in there, and should be looking good. And, I did take a 4-point hit, so I've got to bear that in mind and seeing how Liverpool and Spurs get on. But climbing the ladder, mate, I think with a top 20 at the moment for the league, but we'll have to see how that ends up in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, definitely. We'll bring up that league table just after we go through Dave's team. But obviously, Dave, it's your maiden appearance on the podcast. Is it a debut goal, or is it a bit of a red card, do you reckon, so far?
I'm not sure yet. It might depend on the outcome of this Tottenham game, because I've been a bit decimated by the City cancellation. So at the moment, I've got enough subs to cover for them. But if I lose Son and Kane, then I'm in a bit of trouble. So I think with my reserves coming in, I'm on about 42 points at the moment, which is okay, but not brilliant. But if hopefully those two can hit, or if they play first, and then if they hit, I'll be doing okay. And then I've got Robertson as well to play in defence too.
Nice. Yeah, definitely not a bad start. 42 points as we're sitting now is still pretty decent. On your bench, though, you've not done too bad at all, in truth. Obviously, you've got Bonner and Cresswell, obviously clean sheet this morning. Pascal Gross didn't do too much. But definitely, if that Tottenham game does happen, and obviously they do contribute, then you're on for a great week. It's a good start.
Yeah, I've been chipping away, just slowly working my way up the ladder. But if I had have captained Bruno the last couple of weeks, I'd be well inside the top 100. But I'll be within a couple of weeks. I think I'll be back inside the 100.
You'd like to think so. So in terms of the mini league, we've got 3 teams now in that mini league who've hit over 1,000 points. Tom Stones has dropped off the top of that table, though. The Reds is up there. Nijeran, I think, we highlighted as the manager of the week a couple of weeks ago. He's top of that league now, 3 points clear of Elliot, who in turn is 3 points clear of Tom. That top 3, and a bit of daylight then to 4th. We've got Osama on 982 points. He's on 34 so far this week. Amar Asana, top 5. He's on 48, so not too bad there at all. Werner Giroud in 6th. We've got Joe Cadella, who obviously, you saw earlier in the week, had a few drinks with, probably discussing FPL tactics, and that's why you're rising up the league, Jack. But he's in 7th. We've got Max in 8th on 974 points. We've got Morgan in 9th, and we've got Oliver, not me, different Oliver, doing better than me. So I'll need to be the best Oliver in the league, surely.
Best one in the league.
I'm not even the best Oliver in the league. That'll change, though. Hopefully next week I can get inside that top 10. I'm currently in 13th spot. If we scroll down the league, we've got Jack inside the top 20, which is decent. You must be buzzing with that.
Yeah, happy with that, Ollie. That's obviously been my target for since after the horrendous start I had, and being educated by the guru and Elliot, not yourself. Trying to get into that top 20, and we're finally there, just for the moment.
And Dave, in terms of yourself, where are you sitting in the league at the minute?
I think I'm about 112 or something at the moment. So yeah, I've sort of been moving up a few spots each week the last few weeks, because I think I've only missed the average once, I think, since about game week 4. So slowly working my way up, but yeah, I'll get there eventually by the end.
I mean, we've seen Jack's rags to riches story being outside the top 100 and being the laughing stock, and now inside the top 20. Do you reckon you follow suit?
Not quite as rapid a rise as what Jack has, but I think hopefully by the end of the season, I'll be aiming for top 50 by the end.
It's definitely an achievable target for sure. In terms of the manager of the week, obviously we don't have that yet because there's 2 games hopefully still to be played, but they will receive a $10 Esports Live voucher for PS4 or Xbox. We've got some Rocket League, FIFA, PES, and NBA 2K. Obviously, tournaments flying in now. Obviously, we've been doing a bit of commentary work, so it's been a bit of fun. But if you want to see if you can get in any of those tournaments, if you want to chance your luck, get yourself registered. Esports Live doing a great bit of work, so they'll win a voucher for that, which I'm sure Matt still wants, but can't get his hands on because he's not that good. But there you go. So now on to the second lot of Peely's Puzzle of Clues. I made 86 Premier League appearances for 2 different clubs, those being Manchester United and Blackburn. And I also played for Bayern Munich, where I scored 31 goals in 155 games. I'll give you a 5th clue because obviously we're in a festive season. It's a season for giving, so I'll give you a 5th clue. I've got a festive themed name. So obviously we've just had Christmas. Christmas has just passed, so it's a Christmas themed name for this Peely's Puzzler this week. So see if you can get that, and we'll give the answer on next week's podcast. Another person who has a lot to answer for, obviously he's not with us at the moment live, but obviously he's still got his right to do. He had to be on the podcast, didn't he? He's always there. He always rocks up, even if he's not here live. So we've got the Guru section with Matt. He's got his Scout 11. He's got his differentials, his ones to watch, and much more. So Matt, fire away.
Hi everyone, it's the Guru here. Game week 17 is amongst us. Ready for another big game week. We've had a lot of issues this week with COVID, so let's hope it doesn't disrupt the fixtures this weekend. I'm going to start with our ones to watch and differentials. I'm going to start with an Arsenal player, which I didn't think I'd say, but it's now 2 wins in a row for them. And we're going to be starting with Kieran Tierney, 5.3 million, 4.3% ownership, an away game against West Brom. Not a bad fixture. West Brom have just been annihilated by Leeds. Arsenal getting a clean sheet at Brighton, so definitely want to keep in your radar as a differential if you've got a defensive space. They also play in the blank game week 18, so you'd get a couple of good fixtures out of him there. Another one we're going to look at is Eze from Crystal Palace. Very low ownership at 0.9%. Home to Sheffield United, who've only got a point on the board this season, or a couple of points on the board this season. Really, really good option. Got rested against Leicester in the week, so he's going to be fresh this weekend. Third option, Harvey Barnes. It's now 2 goals in 2. He's got a double game week in 19, so if you can get him in now, 6.7 million. Very low ownership at 3.5%, so he's one I was kicking myself about not putting in this weekend. The previous one just gone. If you've got room, get him in. Good fixture away at Newcastle and a double game week coming up. Our next one we're going to move on to is 3 teams to watch. Again, another one I didn't think I'd be saying after their poor start of the season, but I'm going to have to go with Arsenal away at West Brom. Not a bad fixture for them. West Brom been very poor against Leeds this week, and Arsenal look like they've come back into form. Another one I'm going to go is Leicester away at Newcastle. Good fixture. They rested a lot of players against Palace. I think they'll be quite fresh. I can see them getting 3 points there. Sorry about that one, Elliot. And my next one I'm going to go with is my own team, Spurs. Home to Leeds. Yeah, it's a tough game, but Leeds are very open. We saw when they went to Old Trafford how they like to play. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in it. So if you've got your Kanes and your Sons, it's going to be a bit of a goal fest, I think. So that's my 3 teams. Now we're going to move on to my captain choices. Starting with the usuals, Fernandes for Man United at home to Villa. Really, really good captain option, as we say every week. Harry Kane, home to Leeds. Son, home to Leeds. Both good options. Leeds will be a lot more open than a lot of the sides Spurs have played this season, so I'm expecting goals. Another captain option, I'm going to go with Jamie Vardy away at Newcastle. Rested against Palace, he only come on for, I think, the last 10 minutes. Leicester also got another penalty in that game. Vardy was off the pitch, so there's always a potential for Leicester to get pens. They've had the most penalties in the league this season. My last one's going to be Wilfried Zaha, home to Sheffield United. He got a goal in the week against Leicester. He's been really good this season for Crystal Palace. Also plays in the blank game week. Doesn't play in the double, so if you get him in now and also for the blank, you're only going to get one fixture out of him in the double game week, which is against Man City. But if you're not looking too far ahead, he's a great captain option for this weekend. So now we're going to move on to the Scout 11 this week. I'm going to start in goal. Nick Pope, home to Fulham. Got more points than Kevin De Bruyne this season. Really hard to look past Burnley, who kept a clean sheet this week as well against Sheffield United. Doubled up with Ben Mee, who just got his goal for Burnley. So I'm going to go for a double up on that Burnley defence. Kieran Tierney, who I mentioned, West Brom away, likes to get forward. Always a chance of bonus points and goals or assists. I'm going to go with a Palace player. I'm going to put James Tompkins in there. Set piece threat. Again, you've got to remember this is within the 100 million budget. He's 4.5 million. So really, really good option. Going into midfield, a couple of names I've mentioned. Zaha, Fernandes, captain's armband on Fernandes. Salah away at Southampton. Tough game, but always going to keep him in there, given his form and Liverpool's form. Pedro Neto away to Brighton. Real lively player, the Portuguese from Wolves. Martinelli. This is one of Jack Gillibrand's picks as a differential on our last podcast. Away at West Brom. He looked really lively last night for Arsenal, so definitely going to be put him in there. Cheap, gets right in there with the 100 million budget. And then up front, Jamie Vardy away at Newcastle. And then I'm going to go with one of my favourite players, Harry Kane. Home to Leeds. He may get a rest tonight against Fulham. And we're hoping that he gets to start against Leeds in the weekend. So it's going to be Kane and Vardy for me as the strikers. And that wraps it up for our Game Week 17 preview. Thank you, and looking forward to discussing Game Week 18.
So now in terms of the draft section, I'm back on top of the league where I belong. Obviously for Christmas, I gave Jack a bit of a Christmas present, letting him be on top of the league for Christmas. But I'm back where I belong now, top of the league by 3 points. Obviously, we'll take that. Matt's in third. Dave, you're on the podcast for the first time in the classic section in draft. You're fourth. James is in fifth. Elliot in sixth. We've got Nathan in seventh and Rolando in eighth. In terms of the results, we didn't update them on the short podcast we did last week. Jack, you got an absolute pasting by Matt, who I'm sure was buzzing about that. I beat, obviously, my old man by 4 points. Got really lucky there. James got smashed by Statman Dave himself. Massive win for him there. And Elliot got a win over Rolando, which was basically, that was a formality, really. We knew that was going to happen. It wasn't
the first time round when I lost to him, so I'm not taking any chances.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's actually a really good point. In terms of the fixtures, though, obviously the game week is still going at the minute. So we've got Jack, who's currently beating the Matt Clydes by 14. James should win against Matt there, you'd think. I'm somehow beating Elliot. I don't know how. I'm going to win, but we'll go on to that in a minute because obviously it's a really interesting story. And Dave's going to beat Rolando. But if we just go to mine and Elliot's team very quickly, bring my team up on the screen. I've been absolutely smashed by people not playing, injuries and the like. So I've had Fofana, who I think he's injured at this point. Fofana's injured. We've had, don't think Castagna played. Castagna didn't play. Zuma didn't play. We had Mahrez, who didn't play. Calvert-Lewin and De Bruyne all didn't play. And basically, that's how I'm looking at the minute. 13 points, over half of which have been scored by Jan Bednarek. I do have Wan-Bissaka to come on. But I've been absolutely decimated this week, and I think I'm still going to get the points So Elliot absolutely fuming with a massive chance for Jack to regain the top of the table mantle. But no, I don't know how I've actually done that. If we go to Elliot's team just quickly, you had a massive opportunity to win and you just haven't done. You haven't done, let's be honest. Obviously, you've not been helped by injuries either. Obviously, Callum Wilson injury cloud, Madison injury cloud, 3 Manchester City assets, James didn't play. So, it's not looking great.
Pulisic being a doofus and missing that easy chance as well.
To be fair, you could still beat me if Liverpool keep a clean sheet.
Trent scored 6.
If Liverpool
Come on, Trent. Come on, Trent.
I've got Wilson, so what do I want? Do I want Wilson to score?
You're a Newcastle fan.
To
You're a Newcastle fan.
Of course I want Wilson to score.
Who's on his bench?
No one, I don't think.
No one.
Yeah, that's an abomination. Gavin De Gea on his bench, oh no. You had a shocker, mate.
Liverpool will keep a clean sheet, so I think it'll be all right.
We should win then, shouldn't you, really?
No, because you've got Van Stafford coming off your bench.
But then
It'll be close.
It should be close. So, Jack, in terms of your team, mate, you've been absolutely smashed last week by the guru himself, Matt. Tell us where it all went wrong.
I think it went wrong with, let's have a look, who do I have? It was with the Tottenham, with Kane obviously not firing, Zaha, Traore, who have pied off now. He's not done anything this season. Grealish, obviously, he didn't step up. What was that?
It's been about a year since he's contributed to a goal I read this morning. So
yeah, that's it. I mean, it's just a quiet week, and Martial obviously didn't fire either. So it was just a quiet, low-scoring week. I mean, 39 isn't the worst we've seen. Or people, we've seen people win a game this season on 39 points. But Matt just had a really strong team. I think it was his strikers last week who did the job for him. I don't know if you could go back in there, Ollie.
There we go. Also,
it was a Sigurdsson shout. Like, he was buzzing about his defence, and Ollie Watkins obviously with his performance as well. But that Sigurdsson one was his one of his picks, wasn't it, in the ones to watch in his guru section, and he absolutely killed it. So that's what sent him over the edge and got the victory against me. But got to give one loss away, and then carry on looking forward.
Mate, you're gonna bottle you're bottling the league before the year's even over, mate. There was your chance, and you've blown it. So I'll have to see how it goes. Dave,
I'll have to see.
In terms of yourself, you've got back-to-back wins, and you're on the up, obviously smashing James last week and beating Elliot very narrowly the week before. In terms of this week, you're in a really good position to make it 3 from 3. Has anything changed? Have you done anything differently, or are you just on good form? You fluking it a little bit?
No, I think I've made some decent transfers in, and I seem to be doing it. I'm a bit more consistent in draft, I think, than I am in classic right now. And maybe that's not having the wild cards and stuff to worry about being my first year, but I think I've been performing fairly highly in draft, which has been good to see. It unfortunately there's that couple of win buffer, and my poor start to the season sort of caught up to me where I couldn't get a win in the first 5 or 6 weeks. But yeah, again, just like classic, I seem to be still keeping in touch and slowly making my way up. I think if Matty gets beaten this week, I'll close that gap on him. So I'll only be half a win behind him, I think, after that.
We bring up the table now once more. If you win that game, it'll be 3 points exactly, I think. You'll be behind him. So be interesting to see how that eventuates. And then, you might be able to break into the top 3 and then really upset the apple cart. So that'll be quite frustrating to see. Quite interesting, rather, to see if you can do. But it'll be frustrating for Matt, not for me. I want to see a bit of difference in the table, and if we can rub it into Matt any more, then we may as well. But it'll be good to see if you can break into that top 3. Bit of an underdog story, but we all love to see those. So that's it for another podcast this week. Elliot, obviously in draft, we've got having a bit of an interesting game, to be honest. But classic-wise, you looking forward to this week?
Yeah, well, I've still got Kane, Son, who's my captain, and then Salah, who is just bound to do something against my will, isn't he? He's just bound to score and do something. Even if he doesn't start, he'll come on and put 6 passes probably. So we'll have to see how that goes. We'll see if I'm crying on the next podcast or not. And just have to wait and see that, I guess, mate.
Could be another 7-0 game for Liverpool, but for your sake, let's hope not. So that'll be it for the last podcast of 2020. It's been a pretty horrible year, but hopefully we've been able to provide a little bit of something, a little bit of positivity towards the end of this year anyway. Have a happy new year, and we'll see you for the first podcast of 2021. Best of luck for the last game week of the year, and we'll see you in the next game week. Bye for now.